So, what happens when a pioneering psychologist and a brilliant scholar of ancient China get together? Well, in this case, their meeting ends up challenging a fundamental pillar of Western science. This is a story of how that incredible encounter gave us a brand new word, and really, a whole new way of looking at the world.
The psychologist, of course, was the one and only Carl Jung, the scholar, Richard Wilhelm. And you just have to hear how Jung himself described it. This wasn't some stuffy academic meetup. Jung called it comet-like, a brilliant once-in-a-lifetime event that would literally light up the rest of his intellectual journey.
Okay, so you've got a doctor of the mind and a master sonologist. On the surface, what in the world could they possibly have in common, right? Well, their connection wasn't about their specific fields. It was about a shared fascination with the deep psychic structures of humanity, the kind of stuff that, as Jung said, begins beyond the academic boundary posts.
To Jung, Wilhelm wasn't just some translator. He was so much more. He was a bridge. He wasn't just moving words around. He was carrying an entire worldview, a precious heritage, from the East to a Western world that, in Jung's view, was starving for it. Wilhelm knew the Chinese mind held a kind of treasure, and he made it his life's work to share it. Now, the way Jung describes Wilhelm's mind here is just fascinating. He calls it maternal. Think about that. For Jung, most Western thinkers had purely masculine minds, analytical, critical, but often kind of rigid. Wilhelm, though, had this rare, receptive quality. He could take in a completely foreign spirit, nurture it, and give it a new birth, a new form that the Western mind could finally begin to grasp. And this intellectual rebirth, it wasn't just some interesting new idea. It was a profound challenge to the West, and it all centered on Wilhelm's masterpiece, his translation and commentary on the ancient Chinese text, the I Ching, also known as the Book of Changes. The effect this had on Jung was, and I'm not exaggerating, seismic. He used the image of Archimedes, the guy who said he could move the earth if you just gave him a long enough lever. For Jung, the I Ching was that lever. It gave him a place to stand completely outside of Western thinking, a point from which he could, potentially, shift its entire foundation.
So, what was this foundation he was trying to move? Simple. Causality. The idea that everything that happens is caused by something else. Western science is completely obsessed with the question, why? What caused this? But the I Ching operates on a totally different principle. It doesn't ask why something happened. It asks, what does it mean that these things are happening at the same time?
You see, for years, Jung had been noticing these strange phenomena with his patients. Weird coincidences, dreams that perfectly mirrored real-life events, things that simple cause and effect just could not explain. And in the philosophy of the I Ching, he finally found the framework and the name for this other way the universe seems to work. And here it is, the principle he called synchronicity. At its core, it's an acausal connecting principle. It's the radical idea that sometimes events are linked not because one caused the other, but because they share a common meaning. They just happen together in a significant, patterned way. Okay, I know this can sound a bit abstract, so let's get into some real examples. Think about when two people miles apart have the exact same, very specific thought at the same moment. Or, as Wilhelm pointed out, how ancient Chinese and European art styles would sometimes develop in parallel, with no possible way they could have influenced each other. But the classic one is when your inner world, a dream, a powerful emotion, is suddenly reflected by something that happens in the outer world. That's synchronicity in a nutshell. Jung actually saw astrology as this huge, ancient system built on this very concept, though he had a really unique take on it. He'd say it's not that the planet Mars causes you to be aggressive. It's that anything born or created in a given moment, whether it's a person, an idea, or even a bottle of wine, simply shares in the unique quality of that moment in time. The stars don't push us around. They're just the hands on the cosmic clock, telling us what time it is. And this is precisely how the I Ching works. That seemingly random toss of the coins? From this perspective, it's not random at all. It's a perfect snapshot of the quality of the present moment. The hexagram that comes up basically makes the hidden pattern of right now readable, giving you insight not by predicting the future, but by revealing the deep meaning of the present.
Now, this new way of seeing reality was an incredible gift from the East. But Jung was absolutely adamant that with this gift came a huge responsibility and a really serious danger for anyone who might misuse it.
And this is Jung's powerful warning.
He saw what he called the spiritual beggars of his day, rushing to grab what he called the alms of the East, adopting yoga or meditation without really understanding the depth. He's saying, look, you can't just steal wisdom. There are no shortcuts to enlightenment. And here is the absolute core of his warning. Before we can ever really benefit from Eastern wisdom, we have a much more urgent job to do. We have to confront ourselves. We have to look our own dangerous undercurrents and darknesses right in the eye. Trying to use these ancient practices to bypass our own psychological reality, Jung said that's not just useless, it's a dangerous delusion.
So this brings us right to the final, crucial takeaway. Wilhelm translated that central concept of Tao as meaning. The real task, Jung tells us, is not to try to become Eastern. It's to learn how to translate this universal search for meaning into our own lives, starting right where we are. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, not just for Jung's time, but for ours, doesn't it? How do we even begin that work on ourselves?